DF Memphis stations.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said.
Welcome in. It's Thursday. It's Sweet 16 Thursday. It was sweet for the Grizz and for John Morant last night. They win their second in a row. They're back-to-back Southwest Division champions. Does that mean anything? J-Mo, I ask you, does it really mean anything to win your division anymore? It used to, I think, mean something like when San Antonio was dominating that division. But now we just look at conferences, the position for the playoffs. Not that I want to take anything away from them, but let them have another banner up there. That's good. Makes you feel good. But in the long run, what the heck does a Southwest Division Conference title really mean?
Yeah, probably not much. I think it means maybe a good amount given how they kind of lay out the schedule, like their own personal schedules in terms of playing guys, how they prepare for games and stuff like that. And it means something to me because at a certain point in the season, I made a bet that the Mavericks would come back and win the division. So it means something to me in that regard.
So it's a negative connotation to you.
Yeah.
You who are now, if you're watching this on any of our multi-social networking distributions. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know. If it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, what else are we on?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Is that our biggest distribution?
That's when I recommend people that don't have the radio right there. I always recommend them to go to YouTube.
Go to YouTube. Okay. You're wearing a Tennessee shirt today. So are you for the Volunteers to beat Florida Atlantic?
I like Rick Barnes a lot. I like the Vols fine. I joke that I'm captain of the Vol Navy. I'm not really. It's really just the only memorabilia of any of the teams I have playing.
What is interesting about that is that both Florida Atlantic and the Volunteers have as their athletic director a white. They are brothers that are taking on one another, and the other interesting twist to that was Tennessee, which beat Duke to get to the Sweet 16. Their father was the athletic director of Duke at one time. A lot of whites in the family. I think it's Michael White, right, that's at Tennessee.
Mike White, I think is his name.
Yeah, because he was – and I can't remember the brother's first name at Florida Atlantic, but they were both on the Today Show on a piece today. And because I did not know that.
Danny White is the one at Tennessee. I'm sorry.
Where's Mike White?
Mike White's the quarterback for the Jets, or now for the Dolphins, the backup quarterback for the Dolphins.
Well, he was also a coach.
That's right, and he's at Georgia
years ago.
That's right, Georgia head coach
So there's
is Mike
a lot
White.
of Mike Whites there.
There's a ton.
So it's Danny White. So Danny White's the AD at Tennessee. Who's the FAU guy?
Brian
White. Okay. So the White brothers are taking one another on. I don't know. What is the line in that game?
The Tennessee's favored by 5.
Okay. That's fair. I think Tennessee's going to win that game. Some of it will be with the way the officiating goes. If they call that game like they did the Duke game with Tennessee, I don't see how FAU can play.
My fear for Tennessee is I actually think they matched up better with Duke because Filipowski's a big than they do with FAU. It's so guard-oriented.
Yeah, but they've got two bigs. They got a 7-footer in that Russian kid, Golden, and then they got this other kid who's like 6'8", who comes off the bench, who really hurt the Tigers more than Golden did.
Number 3, right? The backup 5 that sits at the top of the key there. He's a good player, but with number 1, Davis, and I can never. 15 is the other.
Yeah,
team.
that's their best player,
the shooter.
Jeremiah Wright.
I just don't think Tennessee matches up well with it. I could see Tennessee losing. I really could.
Really? Wow, That would be quite the journey for FAU that will be coming into the American next year. And by the way, all those key players that we just mentioned, they're all sophomores. So unless they were to transfer, none of them are going to the NBA. They'll all be back. It's going to be an interesting league. UAB was a winner last night in the NIT at Vanderbilt. So they're going to Vegas in the Final Four of the NIT. The Charlotte, what are they?
49ers,
Yeah,
right?
49ers. That's it. From the Gold Rush.
That's right.
Charlotte won the CBI, whatever that means. But that's a lot of winning.
Against, who was it, Eastern
Kentucky.
That's right.
Yeah, because Eastern Kentucky and Southern Utah had this classic double overtime game the night before. I did not see any of the Charlotte victory last night.
Neither did I.
I did watch a bunch of the Vandy and Cincinnati lost, by the way, at Utah Valley. So Utah Valley is taking on UAB.
That's right.
On one side. Who's on the other side? Oregon?
North Texas and Wisconsin, I believe.
North Texas and Wisconsin, right. And it's crazy. Like the top is two seeds, and the bottom is, I want to say that UAB is a 4 seed, and Utah Valley didn't even have a seed by it. So it must have been, I don't know, below 8, right?
Had to be.
Because they don't have a seeding by it.
Had to be. That's right. Yeah, they're unseeded here. They beat New Mexico, which was a 2 seed in the first round of the NIT.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, that it sets that up. But really, the more important games are the ones in the NCAA. They do begin in earnest this evening. And to me, that's obviously a great one. Is Tennessee and Florida Atlantic.
One more weird tidbit about those games last night. You mentioned the CBI championship.
Yeah.
Charlotte scored 42 points in the first half, was up 42-24 at halftime.
Wow.
The second half, Eastern Kentucky outscored Charlotte 44-29.
Wow.
So how often do you see the 40-point swing go back and forth
never.
and then in a 3-point game?
Never.
It's unbelievable.
Never. That is crazy. So you got FAU, Tennessee tonight. You've got Gonzaga, UCLA. I can't wait for that. You got Michigan State, Kansas, and you got Arkansas and UConn. There is not a bad game. There is not a bad game.
There's really not. I'm surprised who's favored. UCLA favored over Gonzaga. They are the higher seed, I suppose. But Michigan
only 2.5.
Yeah, that's right. But Michigan State, a 7 seed, favored by 1.5 over Kansas State tonight. I found that to be very interesting.
Well, I honestly, I looked at Michigan State. I think I told you this on the air. On that Friday that I was on from Columbus, Ohio. Michigan State has underproduced. When you watch them and you looked at Marquette, I promise you, I said, I know Marquette's the 2 seed and they're good. And they're from a league that really was one of the better leagues in America. But Michigan State, you look at their athleticism, you look at a kid like Hauser, who, by the way, started at Marquette, and you're going, wow. How did this team not do better in the Big Ten? Seriously, how did they not do better than they did? Because they, what were they on the year? 19-12.
11-8 in their league.
Just 3 games. 11-8? Mm-hmm. That includes the tournament then, right?
No,
They play 19 games in the Big Ten?
They do.
How do you play 19 games? That means one game you're playing either at home or away. You get kind of ripped on that. I guess they rotate every other year?
Yeah, I can't figure it out. And they also play those 2 games, the beginning of December league games before Christmas, then the rest of them are after Christmas.
That's good though. I like that.
Early in
that's
December.
Interesting. Early on in your league. Oh man, you're right. So Michigan State's the favorite, and they're the higher seed. UConn is the favorite over Arkansas. They should be. That's 3.5. Tennessee is the biggest favorite of all at 5.5. And you mentioned UCLA 2.5 over Gonzaga. In my bracket, I had UCLA taking on Gonzaga, and I'm trying to remember. I think I have UCLA winning that game.
I've got Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga going all the way to the championship.
You do,
so
right?
Hopefully they keep this one up.
There's not again a bad game at all in the entire mix. It is going to be so much fun to watch those games this evening. In the meantime, it was fun last night at FedEx Forum. Good crowd welcoming back Ja. And Ja got the most heartwarming ovation when he came off the bench. Now, he asked to come off the bench, and I loved the way he put it. He goes, look, this team was successful. Tyus Jones played great. Let me come off the bench. I think he also, as he used the term uncomfortable. He was nervous. He was nervous about what the reaction would be like. And, it's pretty heartwarming. We love our sports heroes, right? I mean, not that Ja really did the worst thing in the world. I'm not a gun guy. He's a single guy out at a strip club after a ball game, not a ball game the next day. But he did wave a gun on a video platform at 4:30 in the morning at a strip club. And we hail him as he comes back.
I didn't know he broke his nose.
Oh, yeah, he did that before.
It was the game before. I think it was even the game before.
I think in Denver he had a mask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did have a mask in Denver.
I'm pretty sure he had a mask in Denver.
Why don't I remember that? Either way, I was surprised to see him with a mask on last night. I was like, when did he break his nose? What's going on?
Let me just say this. We love Ja because of the way he plays, right? We don't really know him as a person, and I'm not putting him down.
Right.
I love the relationship with his daughter. I love the relationship that he has with his dad. Whatever that is, there's a lot of love there, right? And caring, and they are a family, and he's a family guy. So I don't really know him, but from the outside looking in, lots of good things, right? But we love him because he plays basketball so beautifully. And I know he was out almost 3 weeks. I think it was 19 days from the strip club incident to last night. And he comes in, and honestly, he's the one that says to Taylor Jenkins, I want to come off the bench. Nice. Then he comes in and he does what he always does. He has a couple of assists right off the bat. Then he hangs in the air, gets an and one. He ends up with 17 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, and he had the charge that won the game. That play, a charge late in, because this was an entertaining game. I mean, the Grizzlies were down by as many as 3. The biggest lead anybody had in the game was Memphis by 13. That was much earlier on. You couldn't say it was ever put away until the very end of the game. And you felt pretty good about it toward the last 2 minutes or so, but it was never really put away until it was finally ended. And the play, in my mind, that really ended everything for the Grizzlies was the charge that Ja took. So he helped you on both sides, doing all facets. He came in passing, then he shot some. He had one monster dunk over Porter.
That was crazy.
Or was that Kenyon Martin Jr.?
Kenyon Martin Jr.
Yeah, monster dunk there. And then had a couple of steals. But I think the ceiling play, the winning play of the game, was the charge that he took. You agree?
It has to be. Has to be. Close game last night, too. 12.5-point spread that ends up being way closer than that. And 255 points scored in the game. I can't stand watching the Rockets play basketball. I just can't stand it.
Well,
there's no defense being played.
No.
And that's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night, too. Another 250-point game.
I think tomorrow night they'll blow him away.
I hope so.
I don't know if Ja will start. I think Ja will continue to come off the bench for at least another game. And then when they come down the stretch, and maybe when they play a more important game a little bit later in the schedule, and it's a pretty favorable schedule.
Very
honestly.
Much so, especially compared to the teams right around them.
Triple J, we mentioned this yesterday, how he should continue to be the focal point even when Jock comes back, and I'm more and more convinced of that. 37 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks last night. And I swear I think he could play better.
Yeah, against kind of like against Houston too. But I mean, 37 points against anybody is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see. I'd love to see that along with Ja, like you said, against an opponent that's not the Rockets.
Bane, once again, downhill Desmond. I think that's what Pranica called him last night. I love that.
It's a good nickname.
Great moniker. Downhill Desmond, 20 points, 7 assists. Roddy again. Kennard actually played decently. Hit, what was he, like three or four or something like that from three-point range?
That's right.
That was good. And explain this to me, because I really don't know. The insertion of Kenny Lofton, is that because Houston doesn't play any defense and you're trying to get this guy some minutes to see what he can do? And every time the guy's out there, actually good things happen. He comes up with some rebounds. He gets loose balls. He can certainly play offense. He doesn't play much defense. Perfect, though, in a game against Houston.
Yeah, I think it's just the minutes thing, like you just said. Kennard 3 of 5 from 3, by the way. But I think it's the minutes thing, like you said. I think they might be looking, I think they might be looking for an opportunity for maybe to get someone else some minutes when it comes playoff time. How are we going to fill these minutes depending on what our matchup might be? But also the Rockets is a really good game to get young guys in there because they're also young, and you don't have necessarily the pressure of having to play intense defense because they're not playing any on the other side too. So it's just an opportunity to get within your offensive rhythm, learn some of the offensive scheme, and I think that was a good opportunity. And like you said, good things happened when he was on the floor last night.
So the Grizzlies now have 44 wins. Pretty sure they'll get 45 because they got Houston at home again. And they got the best record at home in the NBA. That home record, I mean, they love playing at FedEx Forum. They are now 31-5. That's better than the Nuggets, who've lost 6 games at home. It's better than everybody, even... Let me see. What are the Bucks have lost 7 games at home. Celtics have lost 9 games at home.
Yeah, I think the Grizz and Nuggets have the 2 best home records in the league in the Western, and they're both in the West. So.
And now Memphis actually has the better home record than they do. So the Grizz, I'm sorry, they have 45 wins. They're going to have 46. They're going to get to 50. Back-to-back 50 years, pretty good years.
Very good.
Especially for a team that's young. And we never had the rebuild you thought you were really going to get. Pretty an impressive thing that Zach Kleiman has put together there with Taylor Jenkins. No doubt about it.
Why don't they just rattle off 10, get to 55? How about that?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think they're absolutely locked into 3. 2 or 3. And they may have.
I agree.
2. They may have 2.
The Kings have a really tough schedule coming up. Let me pull it up here.
Kings are pretty good, though.
They are good, but they have to play. They play Phoenix coming up, Utah, Minnesota, 2 against Portland. San Antonio's an easier one. At New Orleans, at Dallas, against Golden State,
and
then at Denver.
Dallas could be playing for their lives.
Very much so. And then New Orleans is just getting healthy, too.
Did you see, by the way, Mark Cuban went crazy last night.
He did.
But the officials blew that. And I hate to say it, but Memphis and Mike Smith is involved in that thing because he was thinking it was going to be Dallas ball on the other side, and the other referee gave Golden State the ball, and they inbounded it. No one from Dallas was there, and they had a dunk. So he's protesting the game, and I think rightfully so because there was conflicting, and they should have, when they saw one team on the other side, they never should have allowed the inbound. They should have conferred and said, here's what's going on. So this is officials who blew this game. I'll be very curious to see what Adam Silver and who is the guy that now does the punishment and fines and everything else that's involved in that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. He's going to be in on that decision too. You know, it costs just to protest like Cuban has done, not that he doesn't have the money, but it's $10,000.
Just to file a protest?
Just to file a protest costs you $10,000. Because I don't want you filing protests.
Well, then don't mess up the game at the end, I suppose.
Right. So at the moment, if the season were over now, and let's face it, what do the Grizzlies have 10 games left?
That's right.
The Grizzlies and the Nuggets, obviously, with the 1 seed, would be off first round. You'd have Sacramento and Golden State, Phoenix and the Clippers. The play-in would be the Timberwolves and the Thunder, and the Mavericks, who are at 9, would take on the Lakers. I'm glad you're not having to participate in that. Just watch, rest up, practice.
Very much so. I would love, if you're a Grizzlies fan, I think your best case scenario is somehow get a game where you can play the Thunder in the first round.
Otherwise, you're probably the 3 seed, right? And you take Sacramento's spot there,
I don't want to play
and you
got to
play the Warriors in the first round.
Or the Clippers, God forbid, if they fall a little bit. But Paul George could be out for a little bit.
He's out 2 to 3 weeks. They said
at least
the evaluation, the next evaluation takes place in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Because, the original reporting from Shams was that it is a very significant injury that they're worried he might be out for the rest of the season.
Did you see it?
Oh, yeah. Hyperextended
It's really hyperextended.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question.
That looked to me like an injury that would be longer than 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Tough blow.
That's crazy. But, Grizz off tonight. They play Friday against Houston again. We got Sweet 16, so we're busy tonight. Also, we're always busy with the NFL, and our NFL guy, that, of course, is Russell Copeland. He comes your way in just a minute. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder to all of you, the preseason patio, the preseason pool sale, simultaneously going on. Preseason, but it's not far off. You know how high the temperature is supposed to get today? Mid-70s. You have your chemicals set, because if your pool's open, it's in the mid-70s. You better have them ready. That's all I can say. By now, save big. It's the area's largest selection of patio furniture, and get in line for your pool. They have that special early bird pricing, and you're the first one that gets on the installation schedule, and free layaway. Special financing also available if you get to I-40 and Whidden Road right now for that pre-season patio and pool sale going on at Family Leisure. And don't forget our title sponsor. They have been for many, many years. We're proud of it. It's Homer Skelton Hyundai, and, of course, the Genesis selection. Vinny Gerard, he's over the Genesis cars at Homer Skelton, and he's saying right now, because they want you to come in and do business, if you would like the luxury of a Genesis car, a G70, that's the littler sedan, I call it the rocket ship. It's a sports car. It really is. I mean, it flies. If you would love that car, they will give you a $1,000 rebate if you agree to finance through Genesis. Why wouldn't you? They're paying you $1,000 to do business with them at Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. I haven't talked to Russell Copeland in a few weeks because of basketball. I should be in New York City right now. You understand that. But I'm not. But I get to talk to Russell. So that's good, and he's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Let's say you need a new car, so you go to a dealer, right? Wrong. You need to go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales. Why? Because why limit yourself to just one kind of car when you can choose from all kinds of cars, SUVs, and trucks? All different years, all different makes, all different models. Really good prices, too. Now, everyone says that about the money, but Mount Moriah Auto Sales proves it. They work hard to get you the deal you want, even financing. Plus, they have a huge full-service department to help you take care of your car. So many choices at Mount Moriah Auto Sales. They're almost unlimited, with new vehicles coming in every day. Now, these are really good cars and trucks and SUVs that you'll want to drive. And yes, low miles too. It's so easy. Just go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales, tell them what you want, but keep your eyes open because you might just find the car of your dreams. Mount Moriah Auto Sales makes it all possible. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner, right on the price, right on Mount Moriah.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duckhead dress shirts, duckhead caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps, fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett and Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up with FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-899-9789.
Once in a while, we hear about something new that's actually good. One of those things is Sunrise East on Popper. All the great things you expect from Sunrise on Jefferson, just further east for those of you that can't get there. Perfect breakfast and lunch served fast and fresh, made just for you with the care of people that care. A chain restaurant isn't going to have a staff that genuinely care about your happiness. You can go anywhere for lunch or dinner, but if there are 2 Sunrise locations, why would you go anywhere else?
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. No, I miss talking to my friend Russell Copeland. We talk the NFL here in just 1 minute. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and you know about the drain cleaning. That is something they are really good at it. They can solve all of your drain problems, and for a limited time, take advantage of what they call the 83 or it's free, a drain cleaning special. Know this, their trusted professionals do it the first time at Conway, and if they can't clear it, you don't pay for it. All you got to do is call 384-3511. When the spring comes, those roots get in the way. They clean up everything. If you'd like, you can do that number, 384-3511, or you can contact them at conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. Always a pleasure to chat with my friend. That is Russell Copeland on the National Football League. I've missed talking to you, that's for sure. Basketball got in the way, but now that's cleared up. And let's start with a topic that it seems like we always talk about once the season is over. Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to be a New York Jet, Russell Copeland?
Absolutely. He's going to trade one set of green from the Green Bay Packers, and he's going to go to the Big Apple, to the Jets. And I talked about it a couple of months ago when I saw Nathaniel Hackett become the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. I knew that was going to be an incentive. That was the bait to be able to lure Aaron Rodgers, because they did not hire Nathaniel Hackett specifically for him being a great offensive coordinator, because he was with the Denver Broncos, and that offense was last in the National Football League, ranked 32. You look at the moves that they have made since. They've went out and got Alan Lazard. Now they get McCole Hardman from the Kansas City Chiefs. They just traded Elijah Moore. I think the stage is set for the New York Jets. And you look at them defensively, Dave, they're very good defensively. Offensively, I love what they have offensively. I just talked about McCole Hardman, Alan Lazard. You got the offensive rookie of the year and Garrett Wilson. Defensively, you got C.J. Mosley. You got Quentin Williams on that defensive line, and defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner. The stage is set for Aaron Rodgers.
And if we go a step further, and I want to talk to you about free agents, apparently Aaron gave him a wish list. Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ's on that list. He just had a tweet the other day. He's not asking for 20. He just wants more than 4. The rumor was out there. He was demanding $20 million. Would you take OBJ if you were the GM of the Jets?
Absolutely. Why not? I mean,
would you pay him $20 million?
No, I wouldn't pay him $20 million. For me, we would have to come to a medium. I would like to see OBJ on a 1-year deal, and let's see how that 1-year deal is for both of those sides. But why not? I mean, you're looking at a wide receiver that if you already have the 3 wide receivers that I talked about, he doesn't have to come in and be that focal point. But we saw what he was able to do after coming off the first ACL. Once he was able to get to the Rams and you saw what they had offensively, you saw the quarterback with Matthew Stafford. He put in great dividends. He was a big-time playmaker for him. I would love to get as many weapons as I can. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers, if he wants OBJ, and they're going to work it out. We've seen it before with Tom Brady, what he was able to do once he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a wish list, and he got the players that he wanted, starting with Fournette. He also got Gronkowski coming in. You know, I really like it. Hopefully he goes to the Jets, but if he comes to the Jets, I think they have everything set in play for them to be competitive right now in the AFC East.
All right, there's a bunch of free agents out there. Where do you think they land? I'm going to go with, other than OBJ, who will play somewhere, there's the linebacker Bobby Wagner, who was incredible a few years ago with Seattle. There is Teddy Bridgewater. Where does he end up? And the biggest surprise to me was Ezekiel Elliott, who the Dallas Cowboys, I guess they felt pretty good with our guy who broke his leg. But I was surprised they let go of Ezekiel.
Well, I think Ezekiel may go to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but when you look at the draft that's coming up and you look at the running back position, Dave, we've talked about it, how is underappreciated. You can get a running back in the later drafts. You can go ahead and get in free agency and get a running back that can be a number 2 to go along with Tony Pollard. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will really be a nice fit for Ezekiel Elliott.
Tampa Bay for him. Where does Teddy Bridgewater end up?
You know, when you look at the quarterback situations, you know, you look at a backup situation, he may even go back to a place such as the New Orleans Saints, or he may even go and try to be a backup where you look at a place like the Raiders. Right now, the quarterback situation is so many musical chairs, it'll be up in the air. And I don't think that he may even sign to maybe when you look at getting later on after the draft and see where these quarterbacks go. That's going to be a question mark for Teddy Bridgewater. I think he can still play, but he wants to be put in a position where he has an opportunity to play, but he wants to be able to win as well.
Is Wagner, Bobby Wagner, the linebacker who was so good at Seattle, and I forget where he was last year, but he signed a deal that they let him out of. Is he washed up, or is he a guy who can play?
I think he can still play. He went with the Rams, but you have to look at the salary cap and have to look at players. I was surprised that the Rams let him go, but the salary cap issues, you always have to look at that. And when you look at the Rams, they pretty much traded, and they're pretty much at the top as far as the salary cap. So now they got all the players that they needed. They won a championship, and now you look at them, they're not the team that they were a couple of years ago. I would like to see him go to the Dallas Cowboys, to be honest about it. I think he was trying to work out a deal with them last year. You look at his head coach or his defensive coordinator when he was with Seattle is the defensive coordinator now with the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm looking at him maybe to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. You mentioned draft a little bit ago, and my Chicago Bears gave up the number 1 overall pick. But they get a great wide receiver, and they get, 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders for all of that. Sure seems to me a pretty good deal because they're still in the first round, and they can find what they need, and they're getting an extra first-round pick. I thought a great move by the Bears. You graded out for me.
Hey, I love what the Chicago Bears did with this trade. They got DJ Moore. DJ Moore in his career, 364 receptions, 5,201 yards. But I'm going to say something that's mind-boggling. With his career stats at 5,201 yards, he will be the all-time leading receiver for the Chicago Bears. That's mind-boggling that no receiver has over 5,201 yards in the history of your Chicago Bears.
That's
and you have
amazing.
to go back to 58 through 67. That's Johnny Mars. And then you had Harlan Hill.
You know what?
Right there.
I love Johnny Morris, who also became a broadcaster in Chicago and for CBS Sports, but mainly for Chicago doing the 6 and 10. He and his wife, Jeannie, who ended up getting divorced. They were staples. He was great. I'm thinking Willie Gault was a receiver, Devin Hester. Both of those guys were better returners than they were receivers. But you're right. I mean, the Bears tight ends have probably been more famous than the wide receivers.
That's right. And you talk about Willie Galton, he's way down the list at 3,650 yards. You had Marty Booker, you had Curtis Conway, guys such as that. But Mike Vick is up there with 4,503 yards, and the great Walter Payton. And Alshon Jeffrey was right there at 4,549 yards. But I just had to say that because it's mind-boggling.
It is.
That only 5,200 yards is the all-time yards leader. But I like what they're putting together. I like Tremaine Edmonds. You talk about free agency coming from the Buffalo Bills on that linebacker position, replacing Khalil Mack. I like that. And to go along with Darnell Mooney, you got Chase Claypool, and your tight end Cole Knott is coming back. He was the leading receiver for them last year.
Right.
I like what they're putting around Justin Fields. And now you just have to see, Dave, what they're going to do with that first-round pick, picking at number 9. And for me, I think they're going to go with Jalen Carter. I think that's a good fit for them. I understand he's had some off-the-field issues. I understand his workout. But I think Jalen Carter would be a big fit for their defense, especially in that division. Aaron Rodgers is leading. Now you have Justin Fields. You're helping him on the outside part. Let's fill in some pieces on the defensive line and in that defensive backfield.
Well, they've definitely helped Justin in the receiver department. But I still think if I'm the GM, I got to get offensive linemen. I am not convinced about that O-line. How many times was he sacked last year?
I mean, I think it was over 50 times, and you look at him having 1,200 yards rushing, and that's when, when people talk about the negatives when you look at Justin Fields, I mean, how can you really evaluate Justin Fields when you haven't had an offensive line? You really didn't have a lot of weapons for him to be able to throw to. They're doing that now, and you talked about getting an offensive line. It's still free agency, but I look for them to go ahead and get 1 or 2 offensive line in free agency, and then in that second round and that third round, be able to get some offensive line as well.
All right, I want to ask you your sense of how important the combine is, because coming into this draft season, when people were looking at the end of college football, they're all trying to figure out, who is going to be on that board, who's on Mel Kiper's list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about Stroud, and they're talking about Young. Not many people were talking about Richardson at Florida. All of a sudden, he goes to the combine, and because he can run fast, and because he's got a great vertical jump and broad jump, all of a sudden, they're saying maybe he's better than Bryce Young? How much stock do you put into what happens at the combine?
I think it's very important, especially for players such as Anthony Richardson. When you look at the physical specimens, that's what you want to be able to do, is be able to raise your stock. And if you want to raise your stock and you know that you can run a good 40 and you know that you can have good verticals, that's how you be able to make money. If you feel like that you've done enough in college football, then a lot of players are going to wait because they have a chance to lose money. They'll wait till their pro day where it's in their stadium, it's in their facilities, and they run better. But Anthony Richardson definitely made himself some money. We look at DK Metcalf, the 40 that he ran a couple of, 2 or 3 years ago. It definitely put him up there as far as to be able to make a lot of money. I'm not going to say Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to take him over C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. I think, to me, they're solidified at number 1 and number 2. But I definitely think that he climbed over Will Levis. I got the Colts picking him overall at number 4.
Wow. See, I don't know how to broad jump or a vertical leap equates to what you did throwing the football. Now, I do think he showed a pretty good arm at that thing. But don't you have to go back and see what he did in college? Isn't that important?
I think, Dave, when you look at the quarterbacks, I think it's the biggest the hardest position to really evaluate. And we talk about what players have done in college on the field, but we can look at Baker Mayfield. We can look at, some other quarterbacks that have come out, had great college careers, and they are struggling. So I think when you look at the physical specimen, do you have to develop all of these quarterbacks? Absolutely. Where they're taking number 1, they're taking number 2, you still have to develop it. But I think as a general manager, do you want to pass on a guy that's 6'4"? He has a rocket of an arm. You can develop him. He runs a 4.4, and it puts you in reminiscent of the quarterbacks that can run, of the Cam Newton. You look at Jalen Hurts. You look at the mobile quarterbacks. That's what the NFL quarterbacks are doing now. You have to be mobile. Of course, you have to learn the game, but don't all of these quarterbacks have to be evaluated? Don't all of them have to learn the game? We're still talking about Baker Mayfield, and you love Baker Mayfield, but right now he doesn't even have a starting position at the quarterback position, and he did very well in college.
Well, I agree with you, because who would have thought Brock Purdy? Where? I don't even remember where he went to college.
Iowa State.
Iowa State. That's right. Who? Come on. So it's a tough pick, that's for sure. Do you think, because Bryce Young is only 5'10", and a half, that drops his stock a bit?
I think for me, I think that's the difference between the Panthers and the Houston Texans. Because from a statistical standpoint, you look at C.J. Stroud. In 2001, he had 72% completions, 4,435 yards. Bryce Young, very similar when he won the Heisman, 4,872 yards, 47 touchdowns. Last year, they were down a little bit, but C.J. Stroud, 66% completions, 3,600 yards. Bryce Young was hurt last year, 3,300 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. My point is, from a statistical standpoint, from a competition level, wide receivers having the weapons, they're very similar. The negative part that separates them to me is going to be Bryce Young, his size, 5'9", 5'10", maybe 195 pounds. He may be able to get up to 200 pounds by the time of the draft. That's going to be the difference for me. And I looked at C.J. Stroud's workout yesterday, Dave. It was tremendous. And something that gets me is that you don't really see an owner talk to a player coming up in the draft. And David Tepper, he talked to C.J. Stroud yesterday. And here's the point. His wife also talked to him, and she said, guess what? I'm going to keep an eye on you. Was that going to be the tip of the cap? Was that going to be, something that you look at? I just still think that he goes to the Carolina Panthers at number 1 overall, and that's C.J. Stroud.
So Stroud's going 1. You had Young, or rather Richardson at 4. How is your top 5? Give me your top 5 picks.
Well, I got the Panthers taking C.J. Stroud. I got the Houston Texans taking Bryce Young. Number 3, I take the Cardinals going at Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah.
Number 4, I got the Colts taking Anthony Richardson. And number 5 for me is still up in the air, but I'm going to lean toward the Seattle Seahawks going to Tyree Wilson. He's an edge rusher from Texas Tech. He's really good, ran a great 40. That's 5. And then 6, go back to Georgia. I got the Lions going back on defense with Nolan Smith. Those are my top 5, top 6 picks. But I think it's going to be 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 5.
Love it. All right, my friend, thank you much. We'll know maybe a little bit more next week when we talk again. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
That is Russell Copeland on the National Football League. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. Matt loves the Tigers. He loves being a part of this segment with Russell Copeland. I can promise you that. In fact, in his number, 901-386, it's GUR 4777, because he is so appreciative of the U of M program. But here's the best part. Matt's smart, and he does insurance the collaborative way. In other words, he gets to know you. So if you need life insurance, he knows all about your family. If you need auto insurance, he'll know in your family who are drivers. If you need home insurance, he'll know about your neighborhood. He'll protect you, I promise, within your budget. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, here we go again. Let me tell you. He gets to know your personnel. He knows your product. He forecasts you out. He'll figure out what your budget is, and then he protects you. It's very simple. Call 901-386-4777 and let them collaborate away and protect you with the Eflin Insurance Team. Back in a minute, Jarvis Greer. Now retired. I was going to say from Action News 5, but now retired. But he was at the game last night. We'll chat with Jarvo in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Spring is around the corner. That means the sounds of air conditioners cranking up will be in the air soon. Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. This month only, receive $1,000 off the purchase of a new Carrier AC unit. No gimmicks. Just $1,000 off for the Choates Early Bird Carrier AC Special. If your AC is in good shape, call us to get your $60 20-point AC tune-up to get your AC cleaned and ready for the warm seasons ahead. Choates is here for all your cooling, heating, plumbing, air duct cleaning, and commercial needs. Call us today at 347-8086 to take advantage of these early bird specials. Or to schedule online, visit ChoatesHVAC.com. So turn to the experts with Choates. And remember, let our family serve your family.
Hey friends, it's Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And unless your lady has a birthday coming up or you have an anniversary on the horizon, you might not need to come see us at Russell Brothers. But if she hasn't had her rings checked and cleaned in a while, you do need to come to Russell Brothers. We're always happy to check for bad or missing prongs on her diamonds and other gemstones, and it's always our pleasure to clean her jewelry and make those beautiful gems sparkle like they did the day she first wore them. And none of that costs a penny. And if her jewelry or watch does need repair, we have 3 jewelers with more than 85 years of experience to do the job perfectly the first time. And if you have a birthday or anniversary ahead, come see our truly magnificent jewelry. The jewelry that has been making Memphis Belles happy for 5 decades. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, where beauty, quality, value, and service are what we're all about. Come see us at 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event is on at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Come test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric with 420 total range, 64 combined MPG, and 38 minutes best charging time. And you may be eligible for up to $7,500 federal EV incentive and $1,500 lease cash. Come check it out at Gossett Mitsubishi. Plus 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander with 3 rows of seating for up to 7 people. We Gossett at $499 a month or buy for $34,055. Looking for some peace of mind in your new ride? How about Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty? 2023 Outlander, $499 a month, or get 1.9 for 36 months, and test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Outlander PZO 12158 MSRP 34555 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/31/2023. Dealer stock only.
The Showboats are back in Memphis. We can't wait to have you for the USFL. Let's go. Ticket prices start at just $10 for their long-awaited homecoming season. All the way to the house. April 15th starts a new era of pro football at the Liberty Bowl when the Showboats seek to reclaim their USFL legacy. Bring the whole family and don't miss the Showboats' historic return.
It's a touchdown.
Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Cruising through Sweet 16 Thursday, brought to you in part by the good folks at Southern Security. If you don't know about Southern Security, they're your home team credit union. They've been around for 70 years, helping the Mid-South with unbeatable rates, low fees, great service, the newest in technology. If you're a business owner, they're perfect for you. If you are in need of an auto loan, you're never going to get a better deal. You need better benefits with your credit card? They specialize in that at Southern Security. They can handle all your business banking needs, provide low competitive rates on loans, provide low rates and better benefits on all your credit cards, and a whole lot more. And they love talking to you. You can actually get somebody on the phone if you call 452-7900. Talk to one of the team members. You can visit, got a great website, at southernsecurity.org. They're big sponsors of the Tigers Athletic Department. They're your home team credit union. They are Southern Security. Jarvis Greer, I haven't talked to you in a little bit, and there's a great story I haven't mentioned today, but I want to get it with you because you love good stories of local guys and good guys. Willie Kemp from the 2008 championship game participant is the new
played the title game.
Whitehaven High School boys head coach. He was a grad assistant for Penny 2 years ago, went this year with Bonzi Wells at Lemoyne Owen, and now he's the man at Whitehaven, replacing the legend Fred Horton.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, that's a great story. Two former Tigers staying with the Tiger tradition at Tigers of Whitehaven, down at the Haven. And, of course, Willie Kemp, he had a good college career with Memphis. He played behind Derrick Rose in that spot, but he did get minutes on the court in the national championship game. And he has done his apprenticeship after his playing career was over, and working with he worked as a grad assistant, as you said, and then over with Bonzi Wells, who was a former NBA great, who's now the head coach at Lemoyne-Owen. And he wasn't going to take just any job. He wanted to take one with a really good tradition, and the Haven definitely has that. So congratulations to Willie Kemp.
He is truly a very, very nice guy. He was doing some sort of a gym with his wife, I believe, and they were training guys and gals. And while he was doing the assistant stuff, he's a smart guy. I'll give you a little thing. He would come back and sit with us in the back of the airplane with the media idiots on these trips. He was always soaking in information, always had appreciation for history of the program and of Memphis sports. I'm really, really happy for him. So that is just a great story, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job at the Haven. All right, you were there last night. Tell me about that ovation for Ja.
It was really something because he came in off the bench. A lot of people were expecting him to start because, you don't lose your starting spot for injury or whatever. And it was Ja's decision himself to go to Taylor Jenkins and the team and say, look, you guys have been playing really well. I don't want to mess up that chemistry. I'll be willing to come off the bench. And so he came in off the bench, but it was during a timeout, so you really didn't – he was like actually on the court when, oh, man, Ja's on the court now. And but the ovation was really, really loud. And then he got that two-hand dunk off a move on the baseline with a defender allegedly in his face.
Over
Kenyon
Martin Jr.
Yeah, that's just not that is a known name because Kenyon Martin Jr., the son of the former Cincinnati star Kenyon Martin, who was a thorn in the Tiger side for many years.
Got hurt in Memphis.
That's right. That dunk, though, it was like a feeling everything's all right now with the Grizzlies because this is what Ja brings, that excitement. Whenever he gets the ball and is headed to the rim, a full head of steam, you get that excitement that everybody's on the edge of their seat because they know they're going to see something they haven't seen. And so that was really a feel-good moment for the Grizz, and of course it was a feel-good moment for Morant as he tries to get back and get himself back ingratiated with the team and with NBA basketball.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he will stay coming off the bench. I assume Friday again because it is Houston.
If it's Friday, that would be it.
Yeah. And
because he saw he was in at crunch time. He was in to close it out, and they kept it within the minutes restriction. Since he's been out basically 20 days without playing NBA basketball.
I meant to look because I know after his last stint, I think he was at 17 minutes. How many did he end up playing last night?
He got 23.
23 minutes. So it was a couple of minutes more than I think Taylor Jenkins wanted him to. But the fans were demanding he came back in for crunch time.
Yes, and he did what he does. And he got a couple of, the floaters in the lane, got a couple of assists. I mean, 17 points and 5 assists in 23 minutes is not a bad night's work, and especially for somebody that hadn't played in the game in 19 days. So, you say, oh, it's just the Rockets. Well, the Rockets just came off the win against, who did they just beat? They just beat somebody good coming into them. All these teams, that even the ones that have the terrible records, they all got NBA players on them, and they all got people that can do stuff. And, give the Silas. He's Paul Silas' son is now coaching
Steven Silas.
Steven Silas, yeah, give him credit. They haven't quit.
Yeah, well,
they could easily just quit.
They got Jabari Smith on that team. They got Porter at the point guard. He had a triple-double last night with assists. You're right.
Yes,
Everybody's got stars, and they play 48 minutes, so they're going to get numbers.
Yeah, they're going to get numbers, and and you have to beat them to beat them. They don't just lay down. So the Grizzlies got a workmanlike win. So they're solidly in second place in the West now. Second straight Southwest Division title. First time they've ever done that.
What does that mean?
Their first Southwest Division title was last year.
I know. My point is, it's good. I don't mind them. It's something good to talk about and hang a banner. But really, what the heck does it mean in this day and age? Not much.
Yeah, everything's all about the playoffs.
It's all about conference positioning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. But I do remember this. The first time the Grizzlies made the playoffs, when Pau Gasol was here, they played the San Antonio Spurs. And we went down for game one to cover it in San Antonio.
And they always won the division, by the way.
They had every Southwest Division banner hanging in the AT&T Center there in San Antonio. It was quite impressive. And they had 11 50-win seasons at that point.
Wow.
And that's just impressive. And I don't know if the Grizz will get to 50 this year.
Well, I don't know. They're at 45. So tell me, you got 10 games to go. You're at 45. What happens?
Well, the schedule gets a little bit easier for the Grizzlies, and it gets a lot harder for the third-place team, Sacramento. So that's something that, a month ago people were saying, the Grizzlies are done. They'll be in fourth at best. But, with the injuries to Brandon Clark and Steven Adams, and, of course, Josh shenanigans or whatever you want to call it. And but here they are. They're in second, solidly in second now.
2 games.
With just a few games left. So
I was going to say this to you because I asked you, I believe, 2 weeks ago, if you thought they would hold on to number 2. Would they slip to 4? Would they keep 4? Well, they're definitely guaranteed to keep top 3 now.
Yeah.
So they're not going anywhere from there. And it sure looks good when you've got 2 games up with 10 games to go. And Sacramento's schedule is harder than Memphis's. They're going to keep 2, which would be a pretty good move on their part, so you avoid having to play the Warriors or the Clippers in the first round. Or the Suns, for that matter.
Or the Suns. And the only thing, it's tough about the Clippers because, Paul George now, with that injury last night, he's out for at least 2 to 3 weeks before he'll get reevaluated. And that, man, I don't want to put anything on it, but I saw the replay of that, and that knee inverted like an ACL. Yep. And I'm hoping that he's okay. Not that – because, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But that really dampens the Clippers' chances of going very far in the playoffs with him, because they were just now starting to hit their stride.
Well,
they were just now starting to hit their stride.
That's the crazy thing about the NBA is that how many games did Kawhi Leonard and Paul George play together this year?
Get to play together, yeah.
Maybe 20, maybe.
Yeah, the one team that hadn't really suffered any injuries this year and people miss significant time is Sacramento, and that's why their record is where it is.
Yep.
Because they haven't had anybody out, so they all played together, and they play pretty well.
Jarvo, as always, we thank you. We'll do this again next week.
Thank you, Dave. Looking forward to it. Dave Lotion, everybody. All about it. We all about it.
That is Jarvis Greer. I should point out, good luck to the Lady Tigers tonight, right? They are at Bowling Green in the Super 16 of the WNIT. If they were to win that game, they could host what they call a Great 8 game. I wonder, does the NCAA have the copyright on Sweet 16 and Elite 8? Because the WNIT doesn't use that.
I think maybe so. They got March Madness, so it makes sense they would have that as well.
It could be. This portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland. You know Ken Garland. You knew his dad. You know him. 65 years of incredible home building throughout our market. Go to KenGarland.com, and that will reinforce what I have just told you. 65 years of building dream homes, palaces, throughout the Metroplex. Ken sees little details, big picture, all at once. Once you've gone to KenGarland.com, look at the number, 751-1632, and call. He's fun to chat with because he's going to steer you in the right way, and know this. He's going to work closely with you. He understands the commitment you have made, the financial commitment. That's why he works closely with all his clients, ensuring that they get what they want and they should expect. Quality construction, on time, on budget. 2 generations, 65 years, tell you these guys are the best. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. That'll do it for us. Andy Schiffman tomorrow on the NBA as we come down the stretch. That'll be fun. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everybody.